Good morning. You're tuned into Ask Profit on NDTV Profit. I'm your host, Smriti Chaudhary, and the next 30 minutes are all about your stock-related queries, be it a short-term query or a long-term investment strategy. Do tell us your queries and we'll get them answered by our fundamental and technical guests. But before we do that, let's take a quick check on the markets. You have the Nifty 50 that's up about 0.2% as we speak. It's off its day's high, and you look at the Nifty IT index, which is up about 0.2% as well. Among other sectors, you have all the sectors doing very well in trade today, except Nifty Auto, that's down about 0.3%, and Nifty Healthcare Index, that's also down about 0.2%. All other sectors in green. PSC doing very well today. Apart from PSC, energy and metals are something that's in focus today, and we'll talk in detail about this in just a little bit. But let's look at some of the contributors of the Nifty 50 and see what's pulling the index higher. You have the likes of RIL doing very well in trade today. You have Kotak Mahindra Bank, Bharti Airtel as well. Then on the other side, you have HDFC, L&T. Both of them dragging in trade. Tight range, the benchmark is trading in a bit of a tight range today, only a couple of points higher, about 48 points, and out of that about 13 points contributed by Reliance itself. Let's also pull up the breadth of the market. Very tight breadth of the market today, pretty much equals. Okay, now declines are in favor, and that switched only a couple of minutes ago. But let's look at the broader end of the market as well. You look at the Nifty mid cap, that's up about 0.6%, so doing better than the benchmarks. You have the Nifty small cap up about 0.2%, pretty much at par with how the indices are doing. But let's look at some stock specific action. We're seeing Reliance Infra down 20% in trade. It's logged in lower circuit, and you can see that trend. It only happened a couple of minutes ago. Now, this comes on the back of a news that Supreme Court has set aside an arbitration award. Now, Supreme Court has allowed a curative petition by Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, and post this setting aside of the order, the Delhi Airport Metro Express Private, which is an arm of Reliance Infra, they will have to refund about 3,300 crores. So in the arbitration, they were awarded 8,000 crore, 4,700 crore was still pending, and they were to be paid. But 3,300 crore were paid, and now they will have to refund. And we're seeing the stock cracking after this announcement. But other than Reliance Infra, you have other stocks like Vedanta, that's also the focus for today. It's up about 7%. And to talk why this is happening, and this is on the back of a brokerage note, we are joined by my colleague Kanika. Kanika, tell us the rationale for this pick, and what are we expecting for the metals index itself?
So CLSA has come up with a note on Vedanta where it is upgrading the stock from underperform to buy rating, and it has raised the target price from rupees 260 to rupees 390 here. And CLSA also notes that the company is well placed to benefit from the commodity upcycle and from the diversified commodity exposure. Now here, growth and margin expansion capex are to be supposed to drive the earnings. Earlier, Vedanta had guided for its group level EBITDA to rise from $5 billion to $6 billion in FY25 and $7.5 billion in FY26. This was to be done through capacity expansion, backward integration, etc., where aluminum expansion was to be supposed to be the key driver. Here, based on this, CLSA has raised the EBITDA to 4 to 13% over calendar year 2024 and 26, and it has also showed re-rating potential for the company. However, there are a few key levels to watch, which are leverage trajectory and corporate structure, because while debt at parent Vedanta Resources might have declined meaningfully, the leverage at Vedanta has increased.
Thank you, Kanika, for that. And on that note, I'd like to bring in the guests for today. We have Vineet Parinchkar, Head of Research at Ventura Securities, and Kunal Rambia, founder of The Street, joining us today on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Let's start off with talking about the metals index itself. We saw the metal index hit an all-time high today, and you see something like a Vedanta that's up 7%. That doesn't happen very often. And Vineet, metal specifically is in focus. You see the China's demand is picking up. You see the global PMIs, which is also driving the optimism in this specific space. But talking specifically about Vedanta, do you see this tide turning for Vedanta? We saw very high debt levels, and now, even though the debt levels for the parent company has come down, as CLSA pointed out, there's still some concern in the Indian subsidiary of it as here. But how are you taking this do you see this as a turnaround story for Vedanta? And also there's going to be a vertical split as well. So is that going to be a factor that will play in the stock price?
So, a couple of things we need to understand is that, as you mentioned about China ramping up on capex, what is happening is that the US is also a $2 trillion capex story, along with Europe, which is another $500 billion. And the entire metals pack is underinvested. And typically, to get a new property on stream, it takes within 10 to 15 years. So this capex driven story and the demand supply situation is only going to get worrisome with supply lagging demand, and it's going to be a long drawn out commodity bull run. So we expect this to just be the tipping point of the upsurge that we are seeing in metal stocks, and Vedanta with its huge basket or portfolio of various metals is best placed to deal with this. I don't see the debt levels as being of much concern. I think that, the company gives a dividend, and that dividend is primarily to pay off the parent co's resources, right? So next couple of years, 40 rupees dividend is estimated. And once that dividend payout is done with, I think the valuations of metals going up will help aid cash flows. And that international projects of zinc and aluminum are coming on stream. We're going to see about 1 billion of cash flow coming from there additional. And once the company is split, there will be a lot of value available for investors. So I think that it's a great story going ahead. One should remain invested in this story. And I think there's phenomenal money to be made out.
Okay, very interesting point there. We're just at the start of an upcycle for metals, and that's what Vineet's view is, and other brokerages are also saying similar things. But let's start off with the queries now. Just to remind you, you can write to us on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen. Any of your stock-related queries, you can also write to us on any of our social media channels or the YouTube live chat, and we'll take your questions from there. The first one is from Arun, and this is on Sheela Foam. They've already bought the shares at 1040, so slightly elevated levels. The stock hasn't done too well in the last 1 year. Kunal, what would you suggest to somebody who's been holding at elevated levels? Should they continue holding it or book losses and get out of the stock?
Very good morning to everyone. So if you look at the overall formation on Sheela Foam, somewhere in the December, this counter was trading at around 1275, 1280 levels. And from there has been a clear downtrend, not even a single higher top, higher bottom. It's just coming down every single week. And if you look at the overall formation, even at the lower levels of 940, the only positive which I can see on the chart is somewhere of April 2023, counter made the bottom near 965. Right now, I think it's near to that same level itself. So there is a possibility of counter stopping decline from the present levels and might just enter into consolidation. And that's why, I advise our viewer to hold on this counter for now. The stop loss, which is supposed to be maintained, is now 925. If the counter manages to break 925 on the lower side, then it's a clear exit. Otherwise, hold on. And if the counter picks up the momentum, then revisit and check out the views of someone who is available on the channel that time. I think then we might see a new trend emerging. But for now, just hold on because it's near to the support.
Right, fair point. Next up, we have a question from Namita Singh. Now, they've written to us on 2 counters, but Namita, we're going to pick just one right now. And viewers, I request you to talk about 1 counter so that we can take more questions. This one's on Strides Pharma. They bought the shares at 1200 levels, very elevated levels, Vineet. From a longer term perspective, do you think this sort of recovery can happen? And is there any sort of targets that you have on this stock for the next 1 year?
So, we don't track this stock too much, but I can definitely tell you from a little bit of work that we have done on this stock that it's a story which is about to turn around. There are some interesting propositions taking place in the company. And from here on, we expect the stock to move up a bit. Given that, I think, one should hold on to this stock and, I think it would probably go higher than even 1200 because I think the entire story is turning out.
Right, let's take a technical check on this as well. Kunal, how does Strides Pharma look on the charts, considering the buy price here is 1200?
So I think our viewer must have bought somewhere in 2015-16 because since then the counter has never reached that level. What I can see on the chart, because we also have a view on this and we are also holding the position. Now this counter actually made a bottom somewhere near to 385, which was the confirmed breakout bottom. And since then it's in clear higher top higher bottom formation. The first target based on Fibonacci extension, which is a technical tool, was around 825. It successfully achieved it and now it's trading even higher than that. By any chance, if the counter manages to close above 850 mark for a week or two, then the levels, immediate levels which we can expect on the chart will be 975 to 1000. And above that, the third target which we have placed internally is 1340. But yeah, it's a long-term story. The trend is very much clearly open. So with the trailing stop loss, it is advisable to certainly hold the position. For now, the stop loss is at around 775. So request would be to hold the position and counter if manages to close about 845, add little more position also.
Right, so hold on Strides Pharma. Next up, we have a question from Hemant, and the counter that we're talking about is Astral Pipes. They bought the shares at 2085, elevated levels here as well. The stock is currently trading around 2000 rupees a piece. Vineet, we've seen a rally in realty names, right? And something like a ancillary product, pipes. How are you viewing this sort of in conjunction with, of course, the realty rally? Do you see an Astral Pipes or other ancillary products to kind of also go in line with that sort of demand and in terms of stock price, the increase? Do you see that happening for Astral Pipes?
So we are very positive on this company. Just because you bought it at 2100 and it's down 2-3%, it doesn't really matter to us because it's a great management. Their distribution, their production processes are excellent, and they're also venturing into new product categories, which are very, very, adjacent to them. So I think that this stock should be held on to for the long term, and I would advise the investor to, buy more if possible at lower levels.
Next up, we're talking about Power Finance Corporation. This one's from Jatin Shah. I'm not sure if this is a long-term or a short-term query, but they've bought the stock 2000 for 460 a piece. It's currently trading at around 407 rupees. We'll take both a technical and fundamental view as well, Vineet, if you have this, if you cover this counter. So Power Finance Corporation, from a longer-term perspective, should they continue holding on to something like that?
Obviously, we have a huge ramp up in, power generation capacity coming up. We expect these companies to grow their AUM at about 13 to 15% CAGR over the next 5 years. That means, the book is going to obviously more than double from here. And in line with that, you have to understand the power sector is a prime need of the country, right? So, generation assets have to come on stream, and financing is a necessity for that. And the kind of contracts that are rolled out ensures security of the money being paid back. So all these put together makes Power Finance Corporation with the 5% dividend yield an extremely attractive proposition. It may be sideways for a few months, but if you have a long-term view, you should definitely hold on to this.
So fundamentally, of course, because power generation is going to be a focus for such companies. But Kunal, from a shorter term perspective, do you see an upside in these stocks?
Somewhere in October 2022, counter was near to 80. Now it's trading at 400 levels. And what we can see is the clear trend was, it was a very strong rally, right? And it's been almost 3 to 4 months. The counter is now in sideways consolidation. The support is placed at around 370, and the resistance what we are witnessing on the chart consistently, even and the price action, is 435. So until this counter breaks 435 on the higher side, I think this sideways consolidation might just continue. For us, the trailing stop loss is 360. If the counter breaks 360, no matter what, on the technical front, I'll suggest an exit. Till the time, you can certainly hold on to this position because it's a sideways consolidation with bullish biasness. So yeah, it's a hold as of now with the stop loss of 360.
Fair point. Vineet and Kunal, stick with us. It's time for a short break, and viewers, we'll be back and we'll take more questions on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're tuned into Ask Profit. Let's dive into the queries again. We have a question on BPCL. This one's from Rahul. They say they bought at an average price of 625. Now, it's currently trading around 604 rupees. Vineet, I'm going to come to you on this. We're seeing a bit of a pause in the crude rally. This is the second day that there's some sort of a pause that has happened. But of course, on a macro level, the war still going on, and there's still uncertainties around that. It's rising today. It's up about 3%. But from a longer-term perspective, how are you viewing this?
See, internationally, if you see now, every country due to environmental concerns is shutting down their refineries. China is definitely a no-go. No one wants to buy from China. And if you want to buy Russian crude, whom else do you go to, right? So India is going to become an increasingly dominant player for refining and exports. And along with that, we have a massive investment program ourselves. So BPCL is expanding capacities aggressively. In fact, all the refineries are doing that. And we see this as a very, very strong opportunity to get into the energy sector. Fossil fuels are here to stay. And I expect this stock to do some wonders in the coming years.
All right, fair point. And the BP query was from Hari and not Rahul. Apologies for that. Next up, we have a question from Sanjay and from New Delhi. This is on Kalyani Steels. They want to buy the stock at the current price level for 3 months. Not a very big counter there. It's trading around 891 a piece. Kunal, would you suggest buying at these levels?
See, it's in between the entire broad range which we are witnessing on the chart since February. I think the support is placed at around 820 and the resistance is at around 965. Counter is trading at 890. I would advise our viewer to just wait for a couple of more days, let the counter cool down and come near to 850 levels. Revisit at that time with the stop loss of 820, then we can think of initiating a buy. As of now, there is no momentum. And when there is no momentum, I think one can comfortably wait for the price to cool down and come near the support to have the favorable risk reward ratio. So for now, it's an avoid. Think of initiating a buy either above breakout, which is 962, or near to the support, which is placed near to 850 levels.
Right. Next up, Kunal, this query is from Rahul and this is on the possibility of Bank Nifty falling. If yes, what level can we expect the downfall? We're seeing a decent rally in the Bank Nifty and we're seeing PSE counters today doing very well as well. But how are you viewing this going ahead?
So now our viewer is asking for the possibility of that. So if I'm a trend follower, I would always say that rather than, anticipating the fall, let's ride the rally. So as of now, the trend is certainly positive. The only disadvantage or say something negative, which I can see on the chart, is that yesterday's high was 48,960. Today, it made a high of 48,966. It's almost at the same level itself. And if I go back and check out 28th December high, it was 48,636. So this zone of 48,600 to 700 is acting as a strong resistance. And yes, somewhere the momentum might just come to an end. So it's an anticipation that there might be a decline from the present level. Now the support which we need to check out, also keep in mind, is 48,550 levels. 48,550. If the market breaks that particular level, then I'll say, yeah, we are done with the top. And then I can expect, 1,000 points of correction even from that level. But for now, the sideways consolidation is certainly on cards. So just waiting for more confirmation. 48,550 is something to watch out as a support. And the possibility of upside is limited and downside is little high.
Right, fair point. Next up, we have a question from Ramesh from Bangalore. He says he's a senior citizen and he's talking about Bharat Electronics. He's bought the shares at 130 a piece. Now, this has been a multi-bagger stock in the last 1 year. But do you see more steam left in this particular counter?
So, all the segments that they are working in are very linked to Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we see great prospects for this company going ahead. Defense, electronic manufacturing, and all the works are, this company benefits extremely from all these things. Order book is also strong, and hence we expect this stock to continue to do well.
All right, fair point. Next question is from Vinod from Chennai. They are talking about a couple of counters, but I'm going to talk about Apar Industries. They've bought the stock at 25 a piece. If you can pull up the chart and see it's down about 2%. Apar Industries, this is from a 5-year perspective. Vineet, do you have coverage on this particular counter?
We don't have coverage, but we have done some extensive work on the company. Great company, but I think it's very fairly valued. I would look at more other companies like KEI or possibly even, other companies in the electric cabling space as alternatives to us.
Sorry, Apar Industries, they bought the stock at 6,900 levels. My bad here. Okay, next, let's also take a technical check on Apar Industries. For somebody who's bought at 6,900 levels, Kunal, how does it look on the charts?
See, on 26th of March, this counter gave a first channel breakout and that breakout was placed at around 6,800. And since then, this counter is clearly making higher top, higher bottom. Yeah, in the recent times, we saw good profit booking also. But still, the trend is very much positive. So with the stop loss of around 6,600, one can certainly hold on to this position. I think from the present level, which is at around 7,000, if the counter again takes the U-turn and it continues its previous rally, that's a positive rally, I think we can see the levels of 7,500 to 7,600 also. So it's a clear hold as of now with the stop loss of 6,600.
Thank you, Vineet and Kunal, for joining us today. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have on this edition of Ask Profit. But we'll be back day after tomorrow, and we'll take more queries then. But until then, thanks a lot for tuning in today. But don't go anywhere. Lots more lined up on NDTV Profit.
Nifty persists to trade at 22,700. Sensex falls below 74,900. The Nifty mid-cap 150 hits a life high. Most sectors trade in the green, led by metals and oil and gas. Meanwhile, healthcare and pharma trade with cuts. A major setback for Reliance Infra as Supreme Court directs companies armed to pay 3,300 crore rupees as a refund to Delhi Metro Rail Corp in DMRC case. And a glittery rally win Vedanta after CLSA upgrades target citing commodity upcycle. And Apple doubles its India iPhone output to $14 billion in FY24 as the company looks to cut a long-standing reliance on China. Hello and welcome. This is Hot Money. I am Agam Vakil, and in this show we take a look at all the stocks which are buzzing in trade and have been the flavor of the day as well. But before that, a quick look at the markets, and we are looking at, well, gains coming through, marginal, but about a consolidation. That's how a lot of participants would put it. Well, at the moment, the Nifty is trending in and around 22,700, and the Bank Nifty in and around 48,800, 48,900 and thereabout. It's been so far a largely range-bound day of trade with not much to look forward to, at least as far as direction is concerned. But if you are looking for consolidation, well, today is the market where you need to be in. And I reckon that considering it is the Nifty and the Bank Nifty expiry, the weekly options expiry, so far there's been a steady theta decay through the course of the day when it comes to your options. But, it is the expiry and you never know when things may in fact change. So do keep an eye on some of these factors coming through. But I'm going to talk about, your contributors as far as the index is concerned. Sure, the Nifty is marginally in the green right now, not too much to speak for. But it is Reliance Industries and Kotak Mahindra Bank perhaps contributing to that up move. And HDFC Bank, along with Maruti Suzuki and L&T, weighing down on the Nifty 50 at the moment. To take a look at the broader markets and how things are faring there, on the whole, it's fairly even, Steve, though we are looking at a little bit of an outperformance when it comes to the mid-cap index. So that's up around 0.8%. And let's pull up the small-cap index as well to see how things are faring there, up around 0.4%. So all in all, it's been an okay market, for a lot of these broader markets. But if you look further and perhaps a little more deeply into these markets, let's pull up something like a Tanla. Now, that one is starting to see traction once again. It's up around 9.3% at the moment, and in good volumes too. The other one is MCX. MCX is something that has been up and about in today's day of trade, and that's because they've actually introduced a handful of securities to trade in as far as the exchange is concerned. This is up around 6%. But along with MCX, we also have an up move on BSC. Now, BSC is again, after a bout of profit taking, starting to see an up move there as well. So keep an eye on this one too. Well, moving on, we have Petronet LNG, what also stands out in trade. It's something that we potentially look to address in this show today. And then, of course, we have something like a GMDC, which is also advancing at the moment. What's really weighing down on the markets, and at least in the broader markets, is something like an APAR Industries. That's down 3%. But APAR, has been one of the relatively stronger counters over the course of the last few months, as well as the last 12 months, in fact. And then we have Anand Rathi, which is also under pressure, down 2%. And pull up Keynes Technology. Keynes is the other one, which is down around 3%. So some of your counters which have done very, very well over the last 6 months are looking at a bout of profit taking today. That said, what are we going to talk about in the show for now? Well, naturally, we're going to pick up Vedanta as one of the key gainers in today's day of trade. We have an interesting note on Kolde Patil as well. So we take up, some of your relatively smaller names in the real estate pack. Then, of course, we talk about the two-wheeler EV play. Gulf Oil will also be in focus. We have MCX and BSE we want to talk about. And Coal India is one of the top gainers in today's day of trade, along with Petronet LNG as well. And to take us through all this, we are in conversation with Asta Jain, Senior Research Analyst at Haim Securities. Asta, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. Asta, before I come to you, let me address the first stock that we want to talk about, and that's Vedanta. Well, we have a CLSA upgrade coming through, and my colleague Kanika has an update on this one. Kanika.
Right. So CLSA has come up with a note on Vedanta where it is upgrading the stock from underperform to buy rating, and it has raised the target price from rupees 260 to rupees 390 here. And CLSA also notes that the company is well placed to benefit from the commodity upcycle and from the diversified commodity exposure. Now here, growth and margin expansion capex are to be supposed to drive the earnings. Earlier, Vedanta had guided for its group level EBITDA to rise from $5 billion to $6 billion in FY25 and $7.5 billion in FY26. This was to be done through capacity expansion, backward integration, etc., where aluminum expansion was to be supposed to be the key driver. Here, based on this, CLSA has raised the EBITDA to 4 to 13% over calendar year 2024 and 26, and it has also showed re-rating potential for the company. However, there are a few key levels to watch, which are leverage trajectory and corporate structure, because while debt at parent Vedanta Resources might have declined meaningfully, the leverage at Vedanta has increased.
Right. Asta, welcome to the show. Vedanta has always been a little bit of a controversial stock as far as its fundamentals and a lot of news beyond fundamentals are concerned. But I guess the underlying theme at the moment is the turn in the commodity cycle at the moment is how things are looking for as far as the entire metal pack is concerned. Your view on Vedanta going ahead, and perhaps if you could also give us your view on the metal sector.
Right. Good afternoon. So yes, talking about Vedanta, first of all, it's a hold as well as buying on dips from our side. Price target can be kept at around 400. So yes, we are giving the price target of around 400 to 410 on this counter. There are 2-3 factors which we are finding more attractive about this company. First of all, the results gone by in Q3 of FY24 were exceptionally good because they have posted highest ever sales. Secondly, the company is going for the capex also of $1.5 to 1.6 billion. So that is also an important factor for the company in order to show strong financial performance going ahead. Third point, which we find attractive about this company, is that the liquidity position is comfortable because the holding company has kept the maturity of their bonds. They have extended the maturity of their bonds. So that will be helping the company in keeping the liquidity position in a comfortable way. So all in all, we think that yes, Vedanta is well poised to garner the opportunities present in the sector along with this uptick in the commodity cycle. And if I talk about the metal sector, yes, we are positive on the metal sector as a whole because we always believe that there is a cycle for the metal stocks. If there is a 10-year fall in the metal prices, then again we can see the subsequent decade of a rise in the metal prices. So I think we are in the decade of a rise in the metal prices, and that will work well for all the metal stocks, because what we have seen is the rise in the copper prices as well as zinc prices also, and resultant was the Hindustan Zinc and Hindustan Copper. Those have shown rise. So talking about the metal stocks also, we are positive on this counter, and for Vedanta, yes, we are positive on this counter. Our price target is 400 to 410. So recommending buying on dips because today it has risen high. So buying on dips is also recommended, and if someone has the stock in the portfolio, can keep it for the target of 400 to 410.
Okay, that's a view on Vedanta, a positive stance coming in there. Let's move on and talk about Kolte Patil, another interesting one and a relatively smaller company in the real estate space, and we know how the sector has already done over the course of the last 12 months. But we have yet another broking firm who has initiated coverage on this particular counter. Let's get in Anushi to give us more details here. Anushi.
Hey Agam, so if you have to look at Kolte Patil, Motilal Oswal has initiated a buy call on this one with a target price of about 700, which implies about a 34% of an upside. So a couple of reasons that they have cited out, but firstly, just a little background on this. Kolte Patil is a leading developer in the Pune region, while in other areas, it is increasing its presence in the Mumbai and the Bangalore region. If you have to look at the company's overall land bank, they have delivered about 26 million of square feet in the last 3 decades and now currently has 43 million square feet under development. Now on to the strong growth projections. If you have to look at the FY21 to 23 period, the pre-sales have grown about a 36% CAGR rate. This was after the company reported a stagnant decade earlier. Now again, a lot of key launches going forward in the near term, which will be supporting the demand momentum that we are seeing, and the company's vision to maintain the 25% of growth rate ahead. This would be supported by the company's robust cash flows, as per Motilal Oswal, and healthy balance sheet, which will be able to target the new projects and launches going forward. If you have to look at the profitability picture for the company as well, now they are improving trajectory, but with a lag over year. So the margins are expected to improve from 9% to 17% by FY26. So that is the projection that Motilal has given. Now onto the risk part also, if just on this, like if you have to see about a slowdown in the demand momentum and in context with the launches going ahead, this will affect the pre-sales growth estimates for the company. But these are the key factors why Colte Patil is buzzing in trade today, and it is like 8 to 9% up in today's trading session.
Okay, Anushi, thank you so much for getting us that update on Colte Patil. Doing well right now, up nearly 8% in today's day of trade, advancing by as much as 40 points, and currently about the 550 rupee odd mark. Asta, what's your stance on Colte Patil if this is under your coverage?
Yes, so talking about this counter, although we know that majority of the sales is coming from the Pune region, that is around 95%. But now what will be positive for this company going ahead is that now they are trying to reduce this contribution from 95% to 70%, maybe 1 year or 2 years down the line. So that is major positive because now they are trying to diversify into the MMR as well as Bengaluru region. Their project pipeline is very strong. Their liquidity position is quite comfortable. And I think balance sheet is also looking very attractive because they have seen the strong price realization of around 5% to 10% increase in the prices. So all these factors are pointing towards the strong business for the company going ahead, in turn the strong financial performance. So our stance is hold on this counter. Price target which we are setting for this counter is 620 at the initial levels.
Okay, well, that's the view on Colte Patil coming in. From there on, we talk about Petronet LNG. Now, this is the other one which has seen a sharp up move in today's day of trade. It's a counter that we don't usually talk about very often, but we have seen advances all the same. It's up around 6.5%. And of course, we've had positive cues coming in when it comes to several of its ports as far as Petronet LNG is concerned going in. Asa, your view on this one, what will you do with Petronet LNG?
So talking about this counter, although the results which they have posted in the quarter gone by were not very much attractive. So that was not working in favor of the company. That is what we have seen in the results gone by. Although we have seen some sort of uptick in the volume, but I'm really much positive on this counter post the results of quarter 4 of FY24. So here our stance is just wait for the results to come and then take a call on this counter. Right now we are just sitting in the wait and watch mode. So my stance here is to wait for this for making any sort of new entry in this counter and hold this stock. After results, we can take a positive view or a negative view depending on the results.
Okay, wait and watch mode until we have more cues from the latest earnings of Petronet LNG. That's the word coming in as far as ASA is concerned. On that note, we slip into a short break, and on the other side, we get you the balance of that list of stocks we want to address. Stay tuned in. Back in just a bit. Welcome back to Hot Money, and we shift focus to exchanges. The first exchange that we want to talk about is MCX, and it's up and about in trade today. Of course, we understand that the company has recently introduced a whole range of new products which could actually lead to higher turnovers for the entire exchange. And, once these products hit a certain threshold when it comes to turnovers on their respective futures, we may start actually seeing their options also be introduced. And based on that, we're seeing positive traction as far as MCX is concerned. In fact, we once again have a Motilal Oswal note where they have in fact upgraded the stock to buy, and they're picking a price target of 4,300 rupees per share, and which is not too far away from current market levels, maybe a little less than 10%. That said, well, again, all the same. And of course, the other stock that we want to talk about is another exchange, and that's BSE. BSE again has starting to show a little bit of gain here, a little bit of traction towards the positive end. BSE already has run up quite substantially through the course of the last 12 months, and it's been a great 3 months specifically for this exchange, considering we've seen such a sharp up move coming through. Let's get in Asta into the conversation. Asta, firstly, your view on MCX, what would you do with this one? And also, if you could also give us your take on BSE, considering the sharp up move, how do valuations look like for you?
Okay, talking about MCX, we are very much positive on this counter, giving a buy as well as hold. Price target can be set at the initial level of around 4,200. See, this counter or this stock has really gained momentum after the launch of CDP, that is the commodity derivative platform. In fact, their options turnover is also increasing strongly. So I think launch of the CDP will be a major factor for this company to show strong expansion in their margins also, along with the volume. So here we are positive on this counter, recommending a buy on this counter with a price target of 4,200. Now talking about BSE, in fact, BSE is also looking good to us. Here also our stance is hold, although the stock has seen a strong rise. So right now we are giving a hold rating on BSE, and our price target for this counter is somewhere around 3,100 to 3,150.
All right, that's a view on MCX as well as BSE, and from there on we shift focus to the EV space. Now, of course, there's a lot that has happened and a lot more is expected to come through, but I'm going to stop right there and talk about the two-wheeler category specifically. We have Puneet who's joining us to give us more details on the latest in terms of trends with respect to data. Puneet.
Yeah, thanks for that, Agam. And as you rightly said, compared to previous year, the EV sales have grown tremendously this year, registering a total sales of roughly 9,44,000 vehicles. Now, why this matters is that the top 4 players who are in this space, namely Ola Electric, TVS, Bajaj, as well as Ather, have all performed really well. Starting with Ola Electric, they're the first company to show sales above 3 lakh units sold in one financial year, and has shown a growth of roughly 100% compared to previous year. TVS Motor is the number 2 player, and this has been a very, very positive surprise, growing to 1,80,000 vehicles and above 120% compared to previous year. The iQube has done phenomenally well for the company over the past year, and they've also had a second launch with the TVS Smart X, priced at a 2.5 lakh price range, which is premium to compared to its other peers. Thirdly, Ather Energy is the third, which has grown at 42%, which is lower compared to the other peers, but has maintained the 1 lakh sales mark above in the financial year. And finally, Bajaj Auto. This has been one of the most pleasant surprises, growing at 200% compared to previous year. The Chetak has finally been used properly. It has a national distribution as well all over India, which has led to this sales growth of above 1 lakh, and it is knocking on the market share of someone like Ather, growing from just 4% market share in the previous year all the way up to 11%. Going forward, we expect a lot more launches from TVS as well as Bajaj in the listed space, and also some news around Ather as well as Ola going forward in this. That's all we have right now on this particular space, and back to you, Agam.
Okay, thank you so much for getting us that update, Puneet. Some interesting trends out there. Asa, pertaining to the stock market, of course, in the listed space, we can talk about TVS Motor Company and Bajaj Auto and the kind of waves and the kind of plans that they have in store as far as the EV space goes. Your take on this specific subject?
So yes, in fact, we are also positive on this counter, especially looking after the EV. Penetration which is going on in the country also. That is what we are seeing around also. So yes, TVS Motor is looking good to us because there are 2-3 more reasons. First of all, we can see the expansion in their margin because now they are looking more into the Latin America and the European markets. So that is also, and on the base of the competitive technology, they have an edge in their technology as well as innovation. I think TVS is well poised to garner the future opportunities present in the sector. So out of all these counters, we are very much positive on the TVS Motor. And in fact, if I had to talk between these two, TVS as well as Bajaj Auto, then also we are positive on TVS Motor. Price target can be set at 2350.
Okay, there you have it. That's as far as TVS Motor Company goes. Let's move on and talk about Gulf Oil then. That's the final stock perhaps that we can address on our list right now. Now we have yet another note when this time we have MK and they say that they've reiterated a buy with the price target of 1350, and this is related to EV space as well. Now, well, of course, the note suggests that there's been a steady core volume growth of around 7%. Positive margins profile, and the company's acquired stake in EV-related businesses and acquired, in fact, the stakes in something like a Tyrex, DC fast charger companies, as well as some other moves that they are making in this particular area. Now, Gulf Oil has, been a relative laggard, and I say relative, but on the whole, it does seem like at least MK is expecting it to catch up with the rest of the EV play out here. Asa, does this fall under your coverage? If so, what's the view here?
Although we don't have a buy view on this counter, but we have a hold view on this counter for the price target of around 1100 to 1150, if I remember it correctly. So talking about this counter, yes, this counter is also gaining because their Chennai facility has started commencing production. So I think that is also helping the company to show the strong performance. So that will be an easing of the import cost pressures will also help the company showing strong financial. So these are two cases for us. That's why we are giving a whole recommendation, but not buy at this point of a time because we really need to see the results, and then we'll give our buy rating if it will be. Right now, it's a whole price target is 1100 to 1150.
Okay, there you have it. Price target of around 1100 to 1150. That's as far as Gulf Oil is concerned, but we are out of time on this show, so I'm going to take a moment to thank Asta for joining us and taking us through her views on all the stocks that we wanted to address. And with that, it's a wrap in this edition of Hot Money. Lots more lined up on the other side. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.